And here we go. It's gonna be damage versus Tankrom. So nobody crashes in the pole there at the start, but damage takes a little bit of a risk there at the start. Already creates a little gap towards Tankrom, who now has some proper catching up to do because he's already 0.2 behind, dropping down further and further in every checkpoint. And with that, he should be out of this round. Very easy job for damage. All he had to do was just put a little pressure on Tankrom straight away. Risk one turn, and Tankrom made a pretty big mistake, which pretty much gives the round to damage without having any sort of risking to do in the second half of the map. He's got a lead of over 4 seconds, so this is gonna be no problem for him. And he takes the 1-0 lead. So promising start for damage, and Tankrom didn't look that great in that one round. So let's see if he can bounce back straight away and not let damage run away with this one, which is something we've seen him do in the past. Yet again, he is behind at this point, but is slightly closer than he was in round 1. Avoids the mistake this time, but as he does, he's dropping so much speed and is almost 0.3 behind. So again, he will have to push it a lot if he wants to come back. And damage is already at a point where he can afford to save it a bit. Tankrom is trying though, but as I say that, he makes another mistake. And yet again, damage can save the entire end. There aren't many points where he can make a massive blunder and throw it all away. Just aims for the middle of the ring and gets the second point on board. So 2-0 lead for THC. Now starting round 3. The way it's looking right now, this could even be a clean sweep, because damage doesn't really have to risk to win these rounds. At least that's what it looks like, but that was a huge risk there. Went so close to the inside, and it's paying off. However, Tankrom is doing much better than in the previous 2 rounds and is still contesting for that first place. And this one, bit of a sloppy left turn there on the gray part, will allow damage to create a gap of about 0.1. Again, over the grass, damage does it slightly better, carries more speed over that section, and is now a 0.15 in front. Tankrom can still try to attack, maybe put some pressure on damage to force him into a mistake, but that's not gonna happen, and the damage takes another round, this time with 56.745. Damage is just looking rock solid, as he always does in these 1v1s. And Tankrom isn't doing himself any favors when he makes mistakes like that. Straight away, damage is given a free round. And I'm sure his teammates have let him know that he doesn't have to risk. He can afford to drop gears wherever he wants, because he has an advantage of over 3 seconds. This should be light work for him yet again. So far, Tankrom having huge problems in this map. He's crashed in 3 out of the 4 rounds. Is not looking good enough to even compete with damage, let alone win a round. And the damage is just taking these 3 rounds. Of course, he's very happy about the situation. There's nothing better than your opponent making a huge mistake every single round, because then you don't have to risk at all. Just have a nice stroll all the way to the finish. And with that, it's already 4-0 for THC, and it doesn't look like it's gonna be changing anytime soon. However, this is quite of a jinx there from my side, and damage with a full stop pick there in the pole. This time giving Tankrum a free round. So this time all Tankrum has to do is just not crash. He can even afford a light touch because the damage is over 4 seconds behind. And it's looking very promising for Purge. They should get the first point on board, and it could be mentally very helpful to Tankrum. At least he doesn't have that 0 on the scoreboard anymore, so maybe this will allow him to express himself a bit more and show exactly what he can do on Frucci. So 4-1 now, Tankrum even tanking him damage for giving him that round with a huge stop pick there in the poles. Let's see if this is the start of an epic comeback here. But this time it's Tankrum's turn to make a mistake in the poles. And have to admit, I've seen loads of mistakes there. Definitely more than I'd expect in leagues 1 and 2. Seems like players are quite some difficulties in that pole section, and whenever it happens in a 1v1, there's not much we can watch anymore. Because the map doesn't get dangerous at any other point, and it's not that difficult to save it when your opponent makes such a mistake at a very early stage. So damage right now 0.6 ahead, no problem in any of the corners, knows exactly what he has to do to bring this point home, which is exactly what he does with a 56.7. So let's spectate Tankrum at the start yet again. He might have some input delay as he makes the same mistake yet again. He is complaining about lag or something in the chat, so we've seen some people already complain about input lag. And stuff like that could happen if your game is on a windowed borderless instead of full screen. Sometimes you get less FPS and some input lag with that. So maybe that's why he's having so many troubles at the start, because as we've seen, the start is very precise, and playing like this, he's just allowing damage to win the rounds, but damage makes such an uncharacteristic mistake there, and out of nowhere Tankrum is able to take this one unless he does the same in the end. And it will be Tankrum after that little clip at the start. So 5-2 right now for damage. A very unusual mistake from him. This is something we haven't seen much. But in this round at least, Tankrum does survive the start, so we might have a really close round on our hands for the first time since like round 3, I think. As the usual, damage is in the lead at this point. And Tankrum is still within striking distance. He's doing it very well. They're inside of each other right now. Let's see who can do the right-hander better. Looks like it is Tankrum, just slightly, so he does take over the lead, but damage is super close. And yet again, Tankrum carries much more speed over the stretch, so he is around 500s in the lead, and damage with another massive mistake. It's all going downhill for damage all of a sudden, and Tankrum is making big profit of it. That is another round for a Purge, and they're up to... well, they've closed the gap to 5-3 now. Damage still has 2 more rounds to win if he wants to close this one and get the first point overall for Team THC. Let's see if Tankram can continue his winning streak, and damage is down. The poles are killing the players here left and right. And seems like we've had more rounds where one of the players has made a mistake in the poles than clean rounds. So this could be Tankram's third run win in a row. Gotta say, I did not see that coming after the way this submatch started. Tankram right now 3 seconds in the lead, and the damage needs a massive mistake here. I think even a touch, which is what damage did 2 rounds ago, wouldn't be enough. Like, Tankram needs to full stop it here for damage to come back. And you can see Tankram just being in the middle of the track pretty much the whole time, not taking any risks at all, and just brings it home for a 5-4 right now. After being 4-0 down, this is quite an accomplishment, to be fair. So, can he maybe win 3 more? And take an unlikely 1v1 win? Damage very close there to the pole, and this time it's Tankram's turn to make an early mistake. He's around half a second behind. So, a slight mistake from damage could still turn this around, as we've already seen. I think Tankram is too far behind to make up the distance on pure pace. So it all depends on damage whether or not he will make a mistake or not. He has made quite a few of those lately. So it's high time that kind of keeps his cool and just does what he usually does best. Drive very fast and very solid at the same time. Looks like he was able to refocus for this round. And takes the 6th point with a 56.78. So submatch point right now for damage and THC. On the other hand, the Tankram needs to win 3 in a row if he wants to take this one. It's still looking very unlikely for him. However, we do see both players making it through that whole section. Tankram has to release a lot because he's completely misjudged the turn there. And right now is already almost a 0.2 behind. However, he still hasn't made a mistake, so he is able to come back from this maybe. Let's see how he does this part. We've already seen him do this better than damage, and he is slightly coming back. It's still not enough, but there's still like half of the map left to be played. Still a 0.2 behind. Damage is creating a bigger and bigger gap with every turn. Tankram is trying to keep up, but he's just not fast enough in this round. So this looks like it could be it. Damage has just 1 drift left. And this will be 1-0 for THC. Damage closes it out in the end with a 7-4. So it's gonna be Exusam and Sidu versus SnowX and Asian. Everyone survives the pole part, which is a refreshing sight. Right now Asian slightly in the lead with his teammate SnowX in last, so this is looking like a draw. SnowX already dropping far down, he's over 0.2 behind, and he is still lagging, but his teammate Asian is in first. However, he's being attacked by both Sidu and Exusam. THC need one of those two to take the round win here if they want to take the first point on board. Right now Sidu is contesting Asian. SnowX seems to be too far behind to be a factor in this particular round. Sidu going very close there to the inside. He's still trying to attack Asian there. This is going to be super close between those two. Exosam is too far behind as well. It looks like it will be Asian taking the first one, which will result in a draw. So first round, and we're already stuck in a deadlock. The score won't change, and we might see quite a few of those. Let's see, round 2, and Asian just gets deleted from the round by that pole. So this puts a lot of pressure on his teammate SnowX, who now has to win the round if he doesn't want to go 1-0 down here. Sido with a little mistake there. I think he is able to stabilize. Asian should still be too far behind, which leaves this in the hands of Exusam and SnowX. SnowX can only get a draw, but Exusam is playing for the round win here, and right now he's doing a great job. 0.2 of a lead. SnowX needs a pretty big comeback in the end. He is pushing it here, but goes a bit too wide and crashes. So, very likely that we are gonna see a first point scored here by THC, with Exusam winning the round and Sidu coming in second. Looks like the pole part will be the deciding section yet again. And here in a 2v2, when one player gets destroyed that early, the other one has so much pressure on his back just to win the round, because if he doesn't, that's already a round loss. We see players are struggling a bit there in the start. SnowX and Sidu already over a 0.1 behind. But nobody's made a big mistake yet, so right now we see two separate 1v1s. Both will have a big effect on who's gonna win the round, obviously. And as I say, that Exusam has created a nice little gap there, and the SnowX crashes and gets yeeted out of the map. So no matter what happens now, this will be a round for a THC. Really unfortunate there for Asian. There's nothing he could have done after that mistake there. Even if he had won the round, it still would not have been enough, even for a draw. And that means THC are 2-0 up in this 2v2. Just 3 more rounds left. Of course, there is no tennis mode in this, for obvious reasons. So round 4, here we go. Again, THC get just a little better of a start. And this time it's Asian from Purge who is a bit behind. But then SnowX gets a very sloppy turn and drops down as well. So THC are sitting very pretty in this round. Both of them in top 2, having a 0.2 gap over their opponents. This time everyone avoids the mistake there. Nobody gets a DNF, but then Snow crashes, just adding salt to the wound, and Asian does the same. Right now the THC duo are just running away with it, winning each round together, and Purge don't seem to have much of a chance in this one. Even driving the same time. Look at how synchronized they are. Very, very well played there by the THC boys. Once again, everyone surviving the pole section. But SnowX catches a lot of grass there. That will put him quite far behind already in the round. So it's pretty much up to his teammate Asian here to win the round and at least get the draw, unless one of the THC boys makes a pretty big mistake, I would say. And he needs to take a platform after that mistake. He's really struggling in that particular turn. So Asian absolutely has to win the round if he wants to get the draw. Exusam has crashed, so he won't be a factor in this round. It's all up to Sidu, who is 0.2 behind, so looks like Asian will get the draw, at least for Purge, which is definitely the best he could have done. Right now Asian really needs SnowX to step up, because SnowX really needs to get at least third, and as I was saying that, Exosam has made an early mistake, which means that this could easily go in favor of Purge, this one. So this time it's all up to Sea-Doo to win the round. He is on a good start, he's in the lead right now, he has more speed than the Purge duo. It's still looking very good for him. Let's see if the Purge guys are maybe gonna push it over the limit, and looks like that's exactly what SnowX has done. Asian with a huge mistake will allow Exosam to pass him, I think. Exactly, and 3 of the players have made mistakes in this round. It's only Sea-Doo who's survived. We've got huge gaps here, and this situation is going in favor of THC. Sea-Doo closes it with a 56.9, and Exosam gets third, which means THC right now have a sub-match point. So Purge are still on 0. The best they could have done so far is get draws. They need to step it up pretty hard if they want to make something happen here. Asian with a good line will avoid lots of the grass, so he will have enough speed here. But SnowX drops down quite a lot. Again, this is looking like a very uncomfortable situation for him, because both are points here behind and will have to risk it a lot if they want to catch up. Sea-Doo again is looking very solid. Exosam is quite close behind, and SnowX for the umpteenth time in this submatch makes that exact mistake. So unless both Sea-Doo and Exosam crash at the end, this should be over and out. 5-0 for THC, and they will take the second point overall. Very well played by both of them. So following Tankrum in round 1 of the first of the 3v3 sub matches. Let's see who's gonna take the first 2-pointer. Right now no mistakes in the start, Damage is in the lead, closely followed by Azion and Silky. Coming through this section, will everyone make it? I think everyone did make it. However, EXO is having some trouble there with those corners. Rivals is lagging a lot, so I think it's better if we switch, and THC still have the top 2, so if it stays like this, this will be around for THC. It's really hard to tell where Rivals is exactly, but as long as he doesn't take first, at least this will be around loss for Purge. But Silky there with a huge mistake. It's only Damage left right now. Rivals and Tankrum in second and third, but both make the exact same mistake. What is happening here? Exosam out of nowhere from last place gets second because of that, and Rivals and Tankrum making the exact same mistake. Both of them landing on their sides, and THC taking that very unlikely 1-0 lead. Looked pretty grim at one point when the Silky made a mistake, but looks like this sand will turn rounds upside down all the time. So round 2 right now, Azion in the lead. It's looking promising for Purge. Everyone does make the gap yet again, that is very nice to see. Silky with a very wide line, drops down all the way to last even. Or rather, fighting with their rivals. Asian in the lead, followed by Damage. This is still way too close to call. This could go either way here. I think right now Purge still have it, but if Damage can get that first, and maybe Silky, if he can get out of last place, could still be around for THC. Coming up to the end, this is where it's gonna be decided. Exosam with a huge mistake. Who's gonna survive this? Damage is fighting for first, but Silky is dropping so many positions, and it will be around for Purge, with Azion taking the round win, and it's actually very comfortable in to their side, winning with 13 points even. Yo, Blocks. So 1-1 right now. We are seeing so many mistakes, and this submatch could definitely go either way. Exus with a slightly slower start, but it's still fine. Asian is looking very strong on this map so far. Rivals is dropping down, but his teammates have the top 2 right now secured. Damage is trying to attack Tankrum. Where is Silky? Silky is a bit behind, but Rivals is even further behind. So right now it's all up to the guys at the top. Looks like it might be Damage versus Asian here for that round win. I think right now it's still for THC by 1 point. So Tankrum will need to make something happen in the end. Will we see any mistakes? Looks like right now everyone is surviving, and will be a second round win for THC with Damage winning the round. Yeah, I'm fine, man. Thanks for asking. So 2-1 lead for THC. And we have seen no mistakes there in the end. So maybe it was just the nerves in the very first round on this map, because the players know just how wrong this can go. Right now our Rivals is in last yet again at this point. Already quite a bit behind, and most likely won't be able to contest for the first place. It's still super close up top. But that's a huge mistake there by Exusam. So his teammates will need to take first and third at least. Tankrum going very wide. Let's go to Asian. Let's watch that fight for first. And right now THC do have 1 and 2. Silky so close there to the pole. Asian needs to win if he wants to win this for Purge. It's a bit of a dodgy end, but it's will be enough because Damage made that mistake, but Exosam managed to overtake Tankrum, so it's still around for THC. The events at the back in the end actually had the crucial effect on the result of the round, and Exosam actually overtaking Tankrum, who wasn't even able to finish, was what pushed the round in THC's favor in the end. So right now at THC starting to create a gap. It's 3-1, and looks like only Asian is really able to contest pace-wise. So as long as THC don't make any big mistakes, this looks very favorable for them, and Asian there with a big mistake, leaving all 3 THC boys at the top. Right now I think Purge need a miracle to win this one. Silky with a slightly slower turn will allow Tankrum and Rivals to pass him. It's still looking very good for THC. Can both of them survive the end? Looks like they will. And with the top 2, they don't even need Silky for this one, because that is the 4th round win for THC here. Going into the next one, Purge aren't looking that great at this point. They need someone to step it up quite quickly and turn this around. Looks like Rivals is a bit behind already. We still haven't seen anyone touch the wall there on the right and not make the jump, which is very nice. But what we have seen is THC starting to run away with this one, and as I say that Exosam makes that same mistake he did 2 rounds ago. So it's up to Damage and Silky right now to get the first and third, assuming Purge don't make any big mistakes. It's still looking decent for THC, but Damage with sloppy landing might allow Asian to go up in the lead. But then he makes a big mistake, as did Damage. So it's Silky in first, followed by 3 Purge players, so it will be a Purge round in the end. A deciding mistake there from Damage, who dropped down from fighting for the lead to 5th, and Purge were able to take full profit of it. So right now 4-2, still plenty of time left for Purge to pull themselves back into the sub-match and get 2 points, which would mean they'd tie up the overall score. Exosum there with a bonk. Can he still make it? Oh, he doesn't. Damage is in first, has quite a nice lead. But Silky with a mistake, and this should be another round for Purge, but where is Rywaz? Rywaz is super slow as well. What is happening in this round? So Damage is in first. Tankrom and Asian second and third. This might end up in a draw, I believe. But Damage absolutely has to take the round win here. If he doesn't, then it's definitely gonna go in favor of Purge. So Damage will take first here. Tankrom second, Asian third. But this is still not gonna be enough for THC. Not even close, as Silky makes a mistake in the end. And Rywaz was able to take fourth. So Silky needed, I think, third place there to get the draw, with a 6 and a 4. We see an early mistake there, I believe it was a Silky, yep. Once again, putting so much pressure on his teammates, and Exosum has complained that this isn't really his map, so looks like he's not feeling great, and I've fully jinxed the players here, because after Exosum in the last round, this time it's a Purge player making a mistake there, and I think he's out. Yeah, when you make that mistake, there's no coming back. So it's all up to his teammates, who, to be fair, are doing a great job right now. They are first and third, so right now they do have the draw. And if Tankrom can overtake Damage, it will be a round win for Purge. But Tankrom full stop picking the pole, Damage with a mistake as well. He still is able to recover. Can he make the jump? Looks like he will, and Asian winning the round won't change much for Purge, because he's followed by 3 THC players, and this will be the 5th point for THC. So 5-3 right now, it's not over yet. We gotta remember, we do have tennis mode on this. So if a Purge can make a comeback, then THC might be quite a few runs away from a victory still. Rywaz again, he's not having a good time in this start, but this time manages to jump over the gap and is still at least somewhat within the race. Tankrom is in 5th, Damage in the lead, so it's looking very good for THC. It's looking very good for them to get their 6th point on board, and they're not looking to slow down anytime soon in this round at least. Tankrom over all of the gaps, even goes to the inside there. What the hell was that line? It does cost him in the end, so this is looking very promising for THC, even though Silky has dropped down. Damage and Exo should have the top 2 here, and this is point number 6 for THC. So sub-match point and the match point right now for THC, because if they win this one, it's gonna be 4-0, and Purge have no chance of winning the match or even getting a draw anymore. This is the time to shine for Purge, but Tankrom has already made a mistake. Silky as well, he should still be able to make the jump here if he doesn't make any further mistakes. He does, but he does get overtaken by Tankrom as well. Let's switch to Rywaz, who needs to step it up, and he needs to back up his teammate Asian, who's doing alright, but Rywaz crashes. Where are the guys behind him? Both Silky and Tankrom are joining him, and at the top it's Asian in the lead, and right now it's looking very promising for Purge. They do have the round by 1 point if it stays like this. Asian will get the round, Damage and Exo second, third, Tankrom fourth, and Silky in the end barely overtakes Rywaz and swings it in favor of THC. That was actually the duo battle that was gonna decide the round. Silky overtaking in the end means that THC will win the submatch and will win the match. Now the only question is, will they win it 6-0 or 4-2?